This is Chuck Sachs for Indie Opera Podcast, and I'll be talking with Steven Blier, co-founder of New York Festival of Song, about the revival of his program Manning the Canon, which is being presented by NYFOS and Five Boroughs Music Festival on June 23rd in Orient, New York, and on June 25th at the LGBT Community Center of New York. Hello, Steven. How are you doing today?
Actually, that date changed. And I think we're on the 22nd, Saturday,
at
8 p.m. in Orient, and then Tuesday in New York at the center.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because of a variety of circumstances beyond my control, but we're there.
Okay. Well, you're coming to the end of your 31st season for NYFOS. How do you feel that it's gone?
Oh, it's been a great season. Kind of an amazing season. We started with a program about W.C. Handy, the father of the blues.
Yes.
And who was a very famous figure to me, but I think ripe for a rediscovery by a lot of people. And I must say that cast and my co-instrumentalists, I had a little band on stage with me, really raised the roof. And I'd actually taken some jazz piano lessons before the concert to take myself a little farther in that idiom.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great ride. And we just did a concert about Lorca because I had wanted to do a poet program, hadn't done one in a while. And that was also an amazingly deep experience for me because Lorca was not just an extraordinary playwright and poet, but also one of the great gay martyrs because he had been assassinated during the Spanish Revolution.
Yes, and didn't it include some music by Lorca also? Am I wrong?
A little bit of music that not exactly by him, but collected by him and arranged by him. Folk songs.
That's really great. So we're here. Manning the Canon was first presented in 2010. What is the theme of this program, and why present the revival of it this June?
Well, the theme of it is songs about gay life, gay men's life. We have a companion program, actually, at the center. I don't have a title for it, but it's about gay women.
That's Laura Kaminsky and Friends.
Yeah, Laura Kaminsky and Friends. And that's a new program. But Manning the Canon, well, I wanted it, actually when I did it the very first time, I said, I want to revive this the year of the Stonewall anniversary. And here we are. It's the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and we're doing the concert not too far from Stonewall.
Yes.
We had thought maybe we could do it at Stonewall, but I don't think the facility is really conducive.
It's not, although I know American Opera Project is actually doing a series of 4 short operas there that I'm hoping to see. And what is the journey? There are 5 sections to this piece. What are the journey of the 5 sections meant to represent?
Well, the beginning, Men on Men, Man to Man, is sort of about gay life as, at least I understand it, as a modern gay guy in New York. They're very contemporary songs. They're funny. They're not even, actually they are pretty recent songs, but the poems aren't necessarily. One of them is by Blitzstein from 1937 called The Purest Kind of a Guy. And the funny thing about this song is any gay guy looking at this song goes, this is about gaydar. It's totally about gaydar, but that is actually not the original intent of the song. And all you need to do is change one word from girl to guy, and which we did. And I'm sure that Blitzstein would have been very happy about that.
Right, well, I mean, because he really couldn't be open with that writing then.
Not then.
And
it also wasn't, the character was not a gay guy. But you listen to this thing, and it's absolutely a song about gaydar.
And that's one song from one of his pieces very few of us know. What is the title?
No for an Answer.
No for an Answer.
Which we are reviving next year at NYFOS.
That's phenomenal.
Part of a double bill with Kurt Weill's Silver Lake. A suite of songs from each. Because they're both great songs about protest and bucking the system and oppression.
Well, that's exciting. I don't remember right now, but I have read about the Blitzstein piece and also about the Kurt Weill, but it's like decades ago when I was doing my own research at things. So that
you see, even a very sophisticated guy like you knows of, but may not have really heard them in a long time or ever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're going to do that.
So how much research time was needed to create the original version when you first put this whole program together?
Well,
which is a lifetime.
It's pretty hard. It's so hard to answer that question. It's not so much research as, for me, every program has to have a shape, has to have a contour. Once I know what the arc of the whole show is, then I start to look for the things that tell that story. So if I could just finish, we next have a group of songs that are really art songs.
Yes.
And they're happy art songs. They are songs about fulfillment or have a sort of a rosy quality to them, which come from Schubert and Poulenc and Tchaikovsky and Griffiths. I'm not saying that they were necessarily, all of them, particularly well-adjusted gay men, but some of the material they wrote has that quality of the sweetness of being with a lover and harmony. Then we have a section called Drag Acts, which is a John Wallowitch song called Bruce, which is a fabulous song. And then the boardwalk scene from Will Bolcom's Casino Paradise, which is about a drag queen named Sunny and her latest paramour. It's a wonderful scene. And two of the boys get to be, we actually have three people who are playing drag queens in that scene, one not.
Okay.
Then we have our gay heritage and art song Mixed Signals. And that is Saint-Saëns, Britten, and Manuel de Falla. And these are just all gay composers. Well, we don't really absolutely know about de Falla, but everything points to it. And they're just more about romances that are souring or that are painful. And I didn't want to leave that out. Not everything is sweetness and light.
Right.
And then the final section, it's really zips through a lot of strong and passionate, funny and sad stuff in our lives as gay men. I just called it Locker Room Encounter, Crisis, Liberation, Celebration. And the songs are the tennis duet from City of Angels, written by a gay lyricist, straight composer. But it's really originally written for a man and a woman, but it's hysterical with two men. And much when David Zippel heard it, he went, "Yeah, that's right." Walt Whitman in 1989 by Chris de Blasio and Perry Barras, which is about the AIDS crisis.
Is that from the Quilts songbook?
No, oh gosh, it might have actually first gotten sung in the Quilt. The very first time, come to think of it. It's part of a cycle called All the Way Through Evening. Then we do Bernstein Whitman, To What You Said, which is a kind of a gay manifesto of a kind. And then You're the Top by Cole Porter, which I always call Hide in Plain Sight. I mean, it's a very... Oh, and in that one we do the... there's a lyric that was, at the time, that's very funny and very dirty. It turns out it was by Irving Berlin, of all people. So...
it's, probably had some place to put that where it couldn't be in his shows.
You're the roaring heat of a bridal suite in use.
I look forward to hearing that whole lyric. Now, comparing the song list from 2010 with 2019, I noticed there were some subtle changes made. Especially, I'm wondering about the shift of At the Ball by Tchaikovsky and Tolstoy, because it was originally in mixed singles and signals section, and now it's in the fulfillment section.
Yeah, I moved it. And let me see if I can remember why. It could go either place, but there's something in the music that's so sweet, and it sounded more contented to me, a little less tortured. I don't know. It's mutable.
But also, I know you changed out one song in the first section.
Yeah, we used to do, and I may change it again. I don't know. Exit right, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Which is Sex with an Actor. What was I thinking? I feel like such a fool. And
that's the Steve Lutwick and
yeah,
Mark Campbell piece.
Yeah, right. And I changed it for An Admission, which is about, it's a very intimate song about taking someone home, and the first time you see them without their clothes, and somehow they are not quite as perfect as you had imagined they were going to be. Your fantasy of them is a little overreaching the reality, which I thought was a very sweet song. I really do like the Sex with an Actor song, but I think I felt it had been done a lot at that time. I could still do it again.
No, but I like the concept for the song that replaced it. That is something, and that's not just conducive to men. It's anyone. It's that you built up this fantasy, and now it's what's actually in front of you.
This is what you get.
Yeah.
And I liked it because it was a little less jokey and a little bit more touching. Because what he says at the end is like, you may be imperfect, but you're the kind of imperfect that I need.
Okay.
Which everyone needs to hear.
So I know you mentioned that the Laura Kaminsky and Friends is meant to be like the companion piece to Manning the Canon.
Yeah.
It's just more contemporary. Have you thought of creating an actual complementary program showcasing female composers, poets, and lyricists that spans the same range of like about 200 years, is it, that Manning the Canon does?
I have thought of it. It's a little harder to do. There are, first of all, just fewer female composers
right.
to go to, and it would really center around poets more than composers, and I was afraid that I would get thrown under the bus if there were too many men on the program. One does these days.
Yes, right, I understand. So that Laura Kaminsky and Friends is part of your program NYFOS Next.
Yeah.
Which is, it's in its 9th season.
Yeah.
And how is that different from, say, your regular concert style? What's the focus of it, and why was it created?
NYFOS Next is a series devoted to contemporary music, and it is curated in each case by a composer. Although we do work with them very closely. After a few experiences where we had composers come in and have a whole program of 50 minutes of slow music. And they don't really understand that this might be fine for them, but this is not.
It's not a theatrical.
We're not in grad school,
Yeah, I know.
You really have to help them.
It's the composers, they've been so in their world, and it's wonderful, and their writing is wonderful, but when it comes to bringing it out in the world, and I've been there, I've watched it, I have a complete training background in presenting theater and performing, and at that point you understand you've got to have different levels and different colors, and otherwise you're going to just be asleep.
Yeah, and we've also had to help them sometimes cast it, so that we have the quality of voices that we really want up there. But because our concerts are thematic, let's take the Kurt Weill and Blitzstein.
Yes.
There will be no contemporary music on that concert.
No.
And next year, actually, a year from February, well, I guess next February then, we're doing a program called Gay Harlem, and it'll be primarily 30s, 40s, 50s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Right.
I don't think it'll be what you'd call a contemporary music concert. And what was happening was that we would get very excited about these themes, but the themes were not conducive to new work.
Yes.
And we were caught between making these beautiful programs that explore a subject that we're excited about, and the need to keep the art form, the newest examples of it, in front of the public. So we made this modern series, and it's done very well, and it fulfills a lot of functions. But mainly, it's a way for us to have a lot of modern music in our series for those people that want it.
And I imagine also it's, good experience because you've worked with so many different singers and been developing. I know you have programs in like about 4 different places now, isn't it?
Because NYFOS Next is a roving show. We don't have one special place for it. Our series is at is it Merkin Hall?
Yes. Right, and these are going to be are at the LGBT Center.
This is,
right.
The LGBT Center.
But what I also meant was that in terms of the singers, young singers you're developing, you have the program at Juilliard School, Institute for Vocal Arts, and paramour, and San Francisco Opera Center, and now you're creating a new program in Orient, New York. Is that it?
Well, yeah, that's about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It was where I spend my summers, July and August, out there.
So that's your break coming up.
But there's a lovely hall, and it's such a beautiful thing to invite some young people out there for a week to just chill, make a program, enjoy that last week of August by the water. It's beautiful, and the young people, none of us actually gets a real chance to work in a relaxed way in front of a very accepting public, not a lot of pressure, except, of course, everyone wants to do well. No one wants to screw up, but it's different than thinking my voice teacher is going to be there, or the press is coming, or anything like that. And it's amazing what can happen to an artist when you take the pressure off.
Right.
Actually, the results are sometimes more startling, and they're freer. And what I'm trying to do in all of these programs is give them a sense of freedom and let them fly with some guidance,
Yes. But also, you're giving them a chance also between the variety of programs now. It's not just the music from past decades and past centuries. Now you've got NYFOS Next, so that you can have them learn how to be coached into contemporary music, which is way different.
But I find that with young singers, they're often they're much easier about contemporary music. It's things that are, the oddest things will present problems for them. Things I can't believe are hard. For example, I did a program of P.G. Wodehouse lyrics mainly with Kern, but not only. Ivor Novello was in there, and Porter, and P.G. Wodehouse was very foreign to them. It was more foreign than foray. They just had not dealt with the English language in that way, or that kind of vaudevillian comedy. In general, anything that gets close to vaudeville, anything that's not fourth wall-ish, anything that's not television-ish, that is very uncharted. Certain people that I've worked with they're so theater savvy, they really know how to get up on stage and just deliver to the crowd.
Right. Face
front. But a lot of people, their frame of reference is, they don't even know it, but it's sort of like Chekhov. And when you do P.G. Wodehouse and Kern, it's not Chekhov.
No, it's not. Well, I'm excited to see Manning the Canon in June, and I can't wait to see the release of next season for NYFOS.
Thank you.
And it's been a true delight.
I have a beautiful cast for this concert too, and I think that people will revel in those 4 guys. It's going to be something really special.
Great. Well, thank you again.
You're very welcome.